if the value of anything goes down very strongly, what are cool verbs we can use? Yeah, you could use dropped. Dropped is a little bit like rose. It wouldn't be wrong to use dropped, but if you just use drop, it's not that indicative of a really brutal collapse. There we go. To crash. The share price crashed to an all-time low of 10 cents per share. To plunge to. The number of voters that voted for Hillary Clinton in Iowa plunged to 30% below the poll. To plummet to. Yeah, that's a very good one. I'm going to steal that one for the future and pretend that I thought of it. To slump to. Now, what about the safer landings that we're used to?
Decline.
Oh, there we go, yeah. To decline to. Yeah, and I heard the other one, to decrease to. Well, to fall to, yeah. To fall to, I would actually put in the same category as to slump. That's one where you really have a bit of an option. You could use that for a strong drop as well.
Sagged.
To sag to. I'd be a little careful with that verb though. How about to dip to? So we've got the verbs we need for rises that are either very intense or steady, and now we also have the verbs to communicate something went down strongly or softly. What we're still left with is staying straight. How do we say the development did not go up or down? The pulse remained constant, and normally you would use at as a preposition. If something doesn't change and you're implying that it didn't change, then you don't use the preposition to as we did for going up and going down. Instead, you want to use the preposition at. The oil price stayed at the same level, and if you want to indicate what that level was, then of would be your preposition here.
Could you also say to remain stable?
Yeah, actually I have that written down here. I was just going to write that up. Now we're going to tie all this together. Well, we've got this overall structure. This is our basic architecture. We've talked about the introduction, we've talked about the conclusion sentences, and we've discussed what verbs we want to use. All we have left now is to consider how we can describe a development, and then how these so-called why sentences are built up. So, let's say development 1. You can lead in with any number of different phrases, but some that I like to use are as can be seen. Please put a comma after it if you use it. This is one of those phrases where it is quite important to have a comma in English. This is our graph, and this is the first development that we're talking about. What type of deposit is this? Straight, up or down? Down. Strongly or softly? So, what verb do you want to use? Crashed to. Okay, let's do that. As can be seen, the share price crashed to X. To put in the number. Is that it? Can we put a period after that? As can be seen, the share price crashed to 50. When, exactly. We have to qualify this. Normally it'll be a chronological qualifier, a date, a month, something in the form, but it doesn't need to be. It could also be price in the case of the demand curve or supply curve. As can be seen, the share price crashed to X on, if you want to use a specific date. What about if you want to use a month or a year? Or a combination, like February 1964. Exactly. Let's look at an alternative. A more straightforward way of saying something, if you don't like to have lead-in phrases, is the graph shows that. So that's a second way of saying that. Let's say you want to add something in development 2 or development 3. This phrase that I'm going to give you, you can use this one in development 2, development 3, or 4, but not in development 1. In the following month, or year, or time period. Here's another very simple one that we use for later sentences, meaning, again, this one is not good for development 1, it's for development 2 onwards. Thereafter, comma. For now, I think those are enough development sentences. With those, you should easily be able to describe whatever development took place. What I'd like to wrap up with is the why sentence. Once again, I'm going to use this based on the first why sentence in our structure, but you can use exactly the same structure for any one of the why sentences. You want to give an explanation why the share price plummeted from 100 to 0 in January of last year, and the lead-ins that will help you do that and minimize your risk of having to use complex verb structures are these. The reason for this is that. And now, let's think of some reasons why the share price plummeted by 80% in 1 month. Bankruptcy, okay, always a good thing. If you have limited liability, always a good thing. The share price plummeted to 10 in January. The reason for this is that investors were afraid that the company was going bankrupt. The reason for this is that the house banks of ABC Incorporate refused to renew the loans. The reason for this is that the oil price skyrocketed and half of company ABC's expenses are oil-related expenses. The reason for this is that a competitor introduced a new product that is much better and much cheaper than company ABC's shoes that glow in the dark. The reason for this is that the first quarter sales figures showed a dramatic drop compared to fourth quarter of last year. How about some other lead-ins? This was caused by, you should consider that the next phrase here will probably be based on a noun of some sort. This was caused by the drop in oil prices. This was caused by the fact that the CEO fled to Argentina. This was a result of? This was due to, yes. Why make it complicated if it can be simple? You're right. This was due to, or this can be traced back to the fact that.
Alright, to wrap things up, I've written a short line graph description. The graph illustrates the development of ABC's share price between January 2006 and May 2007, with price shown on the vertical axis and time on the horizontal axis. As can be seen, the share price plummeted from €32 to €16 in July 2007. The reason for this is that DEF, ABC's main competitor, introduced a new product patent that threatened to curtail demand for ABC's goods. In the following 6 months, the share price skyrocketed back up to an all-time high of €120. This can be traced back to the fact that DEF's patent proved faulty, which led to the bankruptcy of ABC's main competitor. The graph shows that ABC's share price rose firmly to €126 between January and May 2007. This is due to a successful advertising campaign the company launched. In closing, therefore, the graph shows a turbulent, positive development of ABC's